In my first episode, I explained to you how the media can manipulate your idea of a story by changing the terminology. And today I'm going to be explaining to you exactly how the media does that by giving you an example of the stories over the last month. Welcome to iBelieve TV, the show that takes the mystery out of the effects and techniques the media and government use to keep you in the dark. My name's Justin Ballot, and today I'm going to be speaking about Psycholinguistics and Omission. Now, Psycholinguistics and Omission are two tools that the media use in order to control your mind and to make up your mind for you. Most people believe that they come up with their own conclusions when they hear a story, but the media places certain information in your mind so that the conclusions you come to are predetermined. The way they do this is by using psycholinguistics and omission. We've all heard in Egypt that the people got together in a popular uprising. Now, popular uprising is a positive connotation term, and in terms of psycholinguistics, when you hear the words popular uprising, when you hear people coming together in solidarity, people joining together, whether they are male or female, whether they are black or white, whether they are Muslims or Christians, all these people came together and they protested the government of Egypt. They protested the lack of service delivery, no electricity, no water. They protested other things like the high cost of living, the high cost of food. They protested the low quality housing and the high unemployment. And the army actually stood down because this was democracy at work. Democracy, we are told, is a government that's for the people and by the people. And the army actually stood down because they realized that the people were asking for this. The people had demanded this. Whenever there's a protest of any kind, the protest is either an authorized protest or an unauthorized protest. Now, in Egypt, the protests that we are having are called authorized protests. There's a reason why they're doing this, and I'll explain it at the end of the video. An unauthorized protest is what you would have heard in the very next story following the Egypt story. We were told that in Ermelo, yes, in Ermelo here in South Africa, the people of Ermelo got together and an angry mob went on the rampage. Now obviously if you hear the words mob and rampage, that's a negative connotation. They went on the rampage, destroying property, and the police had to use rubber bullets and then live fire, live ammunition against these people. Now, what were these people complaining about? Well, they were complaining about the exact same things that the Egyptians were complaining about. They were complaining about the lack of service delivery. They got no electricity, they got no water, they've got high unemployment, the high cost of living, the high cost of food. They are complaining about the fact that they're still living in shacks. But of course that is an unauthorized protest. It hasn't been authorized by the big boys at the top. And that's why the media presents to you the exact same story straight after the Egypt story, except this is now an angry mob going on the rampage and destroying properties, where in Egypt it's a popular uprising and the people have spoken. That's democracy at work. And that's exactly how it works. That's exactly the tricks that the media use. If you go and speak to anybody out in the public about what's going on in Egypt, the people have got their information from the media. That's where you find out what's going on. So if you ask people, the average person in the street, they will tell you that in Egypt, freedom has come to Egypt. Democracy has come to Egypt. For those of you who have a memory, when the protest first started in Egypt, we were told that Mubarak was not going to stand down. A week later, he said, I'm still not going to stand down, but I've fired everybody in the government. I've fired the cabinet. Then he said, okay, I will step down, but I will only step down in 6 months' time. Now, 6 months is a very important time frame, but of course the media doesn't highlight that. And they said, oh no, everybody didn't accept that. They want Mubarak to go completely. So eventually, in the final week of protest, Mubarak came and he said, okay, I will step down, and we will put the military in charge. And now the military have taken over. And so we are told that there has been a great victory for the people in Egypt. But the way in which the media manipulates your mind is through omission. They don't tell you certain things. So this guy Mubarak, who is he? Well, 30 years ago, before he became the president of Egypt, he was a general in the military. Now, a general is the highest ranking officer. It's kind of like saying the president of the military. So he was the president of the military, and he used to wear a suit that was a military suit. Then he swapped his military suit for a political suit, a business suit, and he was a dictator for 30 years. Now, apparently, he stood down, and the military have taken over for, what a coincidence, 6 months. Didn't he say that he needed 6 months in order to change everything around? So the military have taken over, of which he is a general in the military. In other words, who is still in charge? Mubarak. There's no change. Nothing has changed. The only thing that's changed is the uniform that the person in charge is wearing. He used to wear a military uniform, then he wore a suit, now he's wearing another military uniform. Nothing has changed. He is still a general in the military. He is still the highest ranking officer in the military. And now that the military have taken over, you've got a military dictatorship. Now what's better, to have a political dictatorship or a military dictatorship? And that's the way in which the media does all your thinking and reasoning for you. They present you stories in such a way that you go, oh, in Egypt, they're fighting for freedom. But in South Africa, it's an angry mob. Oh, in Egypt, Mubarak stood down. But in actual fact, he didn't stand down, he stood up. And now he is a military dictator as a military general. And the guy that they want to replace him with, Suleiman, who is he? Well, he's the guy who signed all the deals for the rendition, for America to send people into Egypt that they wanted to arrest and try, but they couldn't try in America and they couldn't try in a military court. These people are just sent to Egypt and they disappear. You never hear from them again. They get tortured and killed. And so the guy that's coming in is basically one of the American boys. So there's no change. No change is coming. But basically, the way in which the media works is that if it's an authorized riot, then it's not called a riot. It's called a popular uprising. And that's how the media does your thinking and reasoning for you. But as long as you believe, that's all that matters.